What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Veil with your host, Sean Young. I am Sean Young, not to get confused with Sean Young, the actress, because I have a beard. Anyways, Beyond the Veil is a new show that I started. And for anybody who follows me on my social medias, I started the show because I have a show that just aired called The Boneyard for the month of October. And The Boneyard was getting to more macabre, more creepy things that we don't like to talk about, uh, except for in small groups of friends. So I started this boneyard concept, and I started reaching out to people, and people started showing interest, and I want to share their stories of the paranormal and some more macabre, weird things that they do with their life. So I'm here to be the conduit and here to help people share their story. Today we have a really awesome guest. Her name is Storm Young, not Sean Young. Storm Young. How you doing, Storm?
Good. How about you? I'm so excited to be here. I am beyond excited for this podcast. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to be on this show.
Yeah, I'm super excited to start this venture and to help people share their story, share their message, get stuff out there. Because I think that bringing the conversation of the macabre, paranormal, extraterrestrials, UFO to the forefront of the conversation is important. Not just for people who don't believe or are skeptics on the fence, but people that do believe. Because at the end of the day, times have changed, and the people that back in the day that used to say, "Hey, I'm seeing things and I'm hearing things that aren't there," they just get thrown in insane asylums. Now it's more accepted,
Mhm.
and so I think that is more that we need to bring it to the forefront of the conversation and get these stories out in the open. So, without further ado, Storm, would you like to give a formal introduction of yourself?
Hello, my name is Storm Young. I am from a very, very, very tiny town in West Virginia, and I write mystery books. I have two best selling books. One is The Pen Pal, a West Virginia mystery, and the other one is The Final Secret, a West Virginia mystery. But if you're wanting a little bit more paranormal, I definitely recommend The Pen Pal.
Yeah, definitely. And when Storm came and said that she's a mystery writer, and I looked up and I said, she is a mystery writer, and it's delves into the paranormal. I was like, I have to get her on the show. Not to mention, she shares my last name. That's a weird coincidence. That is a
Very
very
weird
weird.
coincidence.
There's some other weird coincidences before we get into all the books and some of the theories that I have. There's another odd coincidence that Storm and I found out about right before we hit record, and it's weird. So, as many of my listeners may know, I am retired from the United States Army, been around the world, and I lived in Alaska. I was stationed in Alaska. That's where I got medically retired. Just so happens Storm and her husband were there at the same time, at the same base, doing the same thing I was doing. Wild. How wild is that?
Very, very small world. I always say we're all connected and we just don't know it.
Yeah, it's weird because like I've been having these moments of weird synchronicity, very within the recent past few weeks, and it's like I feel like I'm living in this realm of 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. Yeah, so it's wild. So, what before we dive into this, what was your experience like in Alaska?
So first of all, cold. So I did very much enjoy Alaska. It is beautiful there, and the scenery is crazy beautiful. I love it. But of course, I just had a baby whenever I got there. I mean, I got there, had a baby, and
Mm,
whenever I started looking into like the Jaybird sites and stuff, if you've ever looked at them, they have their own paranormal group.
yeah.
And I thought that was pretty insane itself, because I would talk to my husband in like one room, and then I could hear a voice in like another room at those houses. It was very creepy at times, but I did still love it. And I kind of just lived with it. I said, if they are calm with me, I'm calm with them.
Yeah, definitely. You can type up JBear, JBER, and a whole laundry list of things: yard sale sites, lemon lot. And then at the bottom, you got J Bear Paranormal. And I was like, oh, one day
Hmm.
I was like, I've experienced some weird things here too. And I want to see what this group is all about. And it gets ramped up really quick. It
Yeah.
goes from, I've heard knocking to I've seen a full fledged apparition, and it's just wild, crazy.
It's been very interesting. The one I will always remember is this girl had it on her baby camera, and you can look it up if anybody wants
Hmm.
to look it up on the baby camera. And she's talking to her husband. You can hear them talking or whatever. And she sees like a man go across the thing and then just walk back out. Nothing happened. She's like, my husband was clearly in the other room. You can hear him with me. And somebody
Yeah.
walked by. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some odd occurrences that happen up there. I don't know if you've ever had like encounters with like seeing UFOs up there. I myself have, and that was definitely something that like I've never experienced in my life before.
No, I haven't there, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, so that stretch of road that leads from Fort Rich over to the commissary and the
Hmm.
food court and all that. I was driving that late one night, and I was coming around by where the hospital, where the road that leads to the hospital is, and I seen three lights in the sky, and they were like triangle, right, like this, and
Hmm.
they were just static, stationary, just like that. And I was like, "Well, that's weird," but that's not so weird because we're at an Air Force base.
Yeah.
These things rotated like this, and I was like, "I've never seen that before," and then just boom, took off, and I was
What?
like, "Well, that's not normal."
I have to know, was it bright? Like, was it super bright or did it kind of look like stars? Or was it like
Oh,
super bright?
it was brighter than stars.
Brighter?
Um, yeah, it was brighter than stars and high enough in the sky to know that it wasn't anything that should be there,
Yeah.
but low enough to the ground where you're like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
always
but
wanted to see one, and I'm still going to say that to this day. I want to see one so bad. So that is crazy.
yeah, there's definitely if you did some like I did some digging after that, and apparently there's been a lot of UFO sightings in Alaska. There's actually like a few episodes of some shows on Travel Channel that feature Alaska, and I think there's like a haunted Alaska too, on some of
Really?
these, yeah, some of these channels. So you find I watched them and I was like, I know where that is. I know where that building is. No, I'm
Yeah.
not going there.
I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of places that are in Wasilla that they said were
Hmm.
haunted. And like one of the hotels there is supposed to be super haunted. And I wanted to go so bad. And my husband was like, absolutely not. We are not doing that. I'm like, but it would be interesting to just be there. I want to hear other people's stories about it. He was not having it.
Have you been to Willow?
I don't think so. No.
Willow's a weird town. It's a port. They do a lot of touristy stuff over there, but it is a town that you have to go through a mile long tunnel that's dug in the side of a mountain that's on train tracks. You got to go through it,
Well,
which it's very. If you're claustrophobic, you're just not gonna have a good time going through that tunnel. And you get to the other side, and there's an old building that's dilapidated, and that's where the whole town used to live, and then they transferred it into almost like another hotel kind of building that's right there, and that place is apparently really haunted.
I didn't know that at all. I don't even think I've heard of that one. I'm going to have to look that one up after this.
Yeah, definitely, I'll send you some links to look up.
Do
But and
it.
okay, anyways, enough about Alaska and all the weird stuff. Storm, what got you into wanting to become an author and write some of these mystery novels?
So, first of all, I have always wanted to write. It's been something that I've been saying since middle school. I actually wrote like a comic book in middle school and I handed
Mhm.
it to the teacher and I said, I'm going to publish something someday. Hold on to this. And she still has it to this day, by the way, which I think is amazing.
That's awesome.
But after that, I've always written little things and never fully came to like anything. But then, and it was kind of funny because now everybody's heard about Jaber. So now you're getting the backstory. So I actually fell asleep one night at Jaber, and my husband was gone on a deployment, and I had a dream about this missing woman, and she was just screaming and like talking to me about like what happened. And in this dream, I was there, right? I
Mhm.
was with this woman, but I wasn't fully there. I could just see it. It was like I was a character, but not there.
Yeah.
And I watched as it all played out of what happened to this woman, where she went, and I woke up instantly. And I apparently got out a notepad in my sleep and wrote down everything that happened. And I still have that piece of paper. And I am obsessed with this story because I love it. I wrote the book in 6 months after that.
Nice. Wow, what an intense situation.
It was.
That I'm kind of speechless. It's not very often I'm speechless, but I'm pretty speechless at that. Like that is a super intense situation. So you have this dream and you start writing down how did the story develop from there? Was it like more dreams that came about, or was it kind of like I'm just going to expand off this dream and then keep going?
Okay, so I would get to certain points in the book, right? Like I knew exactly what happened because like it was like I lived it. I was there. So
Mhm.
I in this dream felt like a year, the whole thing. But whenever I woke
Wow.
up, it wasn't that long. It was just a couple hours. Like it wasn't even like a full sleep. So whenever I ended up writing, I think it was the first half of the book, I forgot what happened. And I promise you, 2 nights later, I have the dream and it's the same thing. And I'm replaying it scene by scene like a movie. And I'm like, this is what happened in this story. I need to write it down. And I end up getting on my phone and I'm putting it in my notes app this time. And I get like completely done. And I'm like, I just crying because I lived this like whole scenario of this woman's life again.
Wow. That's pretty deep. Woo. So you start writing this book. Is that the pen pal?
Yes, that is my first book that I ever wrote. And there is a character on it that is kind of based on me in the beginning because it's about a mother who's in like Jaber and she just had a baby. But the other woman, and the whole point of the other woman was like from the dream, it was her life. It's mostly about her. The other characters just kind of following her path, what she said. She left little notes.
Nice, nice. So so you start writing this book and you finish it. What did you feel a sense of accomplishment after that, or are you like, okay, now I have to get this out to the public?
First of all, I was heartbroken. And
Mhm.
it was like grieving a friend because I lived this life so many times, just going back and forth over and over with it. And I would look at it and I'm with like, this is my baby, right? No matter what I write from here, this is the one that I'm always going to love, even if it's not perfect, because I published it with very minimum budget because I didn't know what I was doing. But
Yeah.
after that, I was like, okay, the girl's name's Penelope. I was like, I need to get Penelope's story out into the world. And so I instantly started doing that. I promoted it everywhere and it's got picked up by libraries. And I think over 6,000 copies have at least been read that I know of.
That is amazing.
It was
That is
very
amazing.
exciting.
Now,
And there's one part in the book where they
go
like
ahead.
scream Penelope. And I think
Mhm.
about that all the time whenever I'm like looking at it. I'm like, there's Penelope's story, and everybody's like reading it.
Now, do you think, and this is just a thought that I have, do you think that that was a dream that was passed to you by a human spirit, and now you were tasked with sharing the story?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. It was the most real dream I've ever had in my life. And
Mm.
I've always been a vivid dreamer. I'll at least put that out there. But this was life. This was like I was there. And if that was it, I at least feel honored that they picked me because I've always wanted to write a story. And I think of Penelope all the time, even though I know she's just a character.
Yeah.
It's just those characters in that book came real to me. Like I'd be standing in the shower and I'd be like, oh, they would have said this during this time, or they would have said that. And I've never had that with any of my other books.
Now, it's interesting that the story behind the pen pal is Penelope and the dream that you had.
Hmm.
Do you know that there are psychics that have dreams that help solve mysteries?
I've heard of it, but I've never really dug into it at all. And I've seen, like, you know how you see that on TV. I've seen that, but not anything further than that. That would be really interesting to actually hear people talk about, though.
Yeah. And the episode that of the Boneyard that I have called the Demonologist, he's a demonologist, but he's also a psychic medium, and he receives his messages in dreams. And
Hmm.
his dreams help kind of solve what happened in the situation and give some clarity and some light. So it's interesting that you shared about dreams, because I think dreams are a psychic tool that a lot of people can use, and I think that's a special gift you have. If that's what you I fully believe that might be a gift.
I believe it is too, but then there's sometimes I'm like, what are you telling me? Like, I have some pretty crazy dreams at times, and I just want to know what they mean. And then I'll like even search them and have no idea what they meant. And then I just leave them alone. And I'm like, whatever that was supposed to mean, I apparently didn't pick up on it. But I wish I
Right.
could know like everything whenever they're like super vivid like that. That'd be really
Yeah.
interesting to get like dive deeper into.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So you finished the pen pal. What is the gap of time between the pen pal and the final secret?
Okay, so during the pen pal, I called it like a big release, right? Like I was on the news a lot. I did radio shows. I was actually on a game show at one point. Like I've done
Wow.
anything that I could think of to like get myself out there. I try my best to do it as long as it fits within my range of knowledge or what I talk about. And during that time, I ended up coming from Alaska to West Virginia. And there, it was funny because my grandfather and I were talking. I was sitting on the couch, and he's like, Storm, I have an idea. I was like, okay, Pap, what's your idea? And he's like, have you ever just thought about a mystery based on family secrets? And I said, well, not really. That's not, I'm kind of been stuck, right? And we're going back to dreams. He goes, I had a dream. And I said, okay, what was your dream? He had a dream about this this grandfather, right? And him passing along all these secrets and how there was like a hidden treasure in this area. And I ran with it from there. I didn't even connect it until right now, honestly.
Okay, like I've been. This is the second time I've been speechless on the show. That okay, that's actually really cool. That is
Yeah.
super cool.
And he gets dreams like that all the time.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it. That's very awesome. That is super cool. Good lord. So you start building this book. Is it an interview style where he's just feeding you information? You're like, what happens next, or is it one where he writes it down and passes it to you, and you develop a story off of it?
He told me that that was it, that little bit of information. And I sat down and I ran with it. I just started going, okay, here's the grandfather. What would his secret be? Right.
Hmm.
And so he was a war veteran and he ended up stealing some secrets that he wasn't supposed to take.
Oh,
And so there's like this whole big thing where the girl named Jess finds out that like he stole these secrets. And then I have it based on where I live right now, right? Like we're in the area where it's based at. And
yeah.
and so I'm like, okay, what can I do? And I always believe that the hills have secrets here. The mountains have
Oh,
secrets.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I decided to run with that as well. There are so many parts where there's like little key things that are
Mhm.
the mountains are holding the secrets. And I love it so much. And my grandfather read it afterwards. And that's all he told me. And he was like, this is pretty much exactly what I was thinking, other than the romance in it.
Wow.
He's like, I did not picture the couples together. He goes, but other than that, like you hit the nail on the head with the story.
That is wild. That is absolutely wild. To you. To you. That is awesome. That is super cool. So you finished the book. This book, is there a different feeling from the last one, from the pen pal, once you finish this book, or is it kind of like, okay, now I have to release this?
This one was relief. I was so glad it was over. It was a heavy, heavy book, in my opinion. And I don't know why. The story is not that heavy, but the points that I made in it were.
Hmm.
And so right after that, I said, okay, I know what I'm going to do with the next book, right? Like the sequel. The sequel's not out yet. And for anyone who's a writer, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about if you write mysteries. I have a murder wall. It's where you put names, what happened to the people, the locations, everything. If somebody walks in, they probably think I committed a crime. So, because there are little strings connecting everywhere, it's a madhouse. But after that, I was like, okay, I didn't even release the book yet. I had to make sure I knew what happened next.
Yeah.
And so I still just have that like first draft. I will have not released the sequel. But as soon as I knew what was going to happen, I released the book. But now I can't put out a sequel for some reason. There's something that I haven't finished it. The story's not done. And my
Hmm.
editor is mad at me. she, she is like, Storm, get it out there. Like, it's good. I'm like, there is something missing. I'm just waiting on that key piece to tell me because the story's
Hmm.
done. I just don't know what I'm waiting on.
Yeah. That wow. That's awesome. That is pretty cool. I'm excited. I'm excited about the books. I'm gonna check them out. I'm not a reader, but now I have to. I have to look them up and I have to read them.
Well, I appreciate that.
So no problem, no problem. So you spoke about the hills having secrets. West Virginia is very rich with supernatural and paranormal in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any kind of weird stuff that you've seen in the mountains?
Everything. So
Oh,
it's
oh,
just
you just
all
can't
the
say
time.
everything.
Yeah, everything. Here it's just you get those feelings that somebody's watching all the time. And I know definitely whenever I was younger, I was very into that side of myself. Just because we would go hunting. I'm a hunter. I go hunting a lot. And in the woods, you never feel alone. There always feels like, but it's never threatening. I've never had anything that feels threatening or anything like that. But I do believe if somebody were to want to hide something, West Virginia would probably be the place. And we've found that out through many true crime podcasts, and you can see that. And that's why I believe that the hills have secrets.
Yeah, yeah. I drove. I've driven all throughout West Virginia, and it's insane. And even like some of the more serious horror movies take place in West Virginia. You got Wrong Turn. Even the new remake to Wrong Turn is based in West Virginia. There's a few others that are based in West Virginia, and just West Virginia has this rich history of being so mysterious. Um, Having lived there and you know traveled a little bit through West Virginia, I there's certain things I would and wouldn't do in West Virginia, and one of those things is wander in the woods at night by myself.
I
So
understand that. So
yeah,
I get that.
but
Everybody says that, and everybody says, don't turn around. If you hear anything, you just keep walking.
yeah,
And there is just like wives' tales that everybody continuously pass on to their kids. And I'm somebody who's really not afraid to go out by myself at night.
yeah,
That's whenever I feel at peace, honestly.
yeah.
And a lot of my friends can't stand that. Um, I'm somebody who will walk along the road and be feeling at home more than I am afraid. And my
Yeah.
friends are like, it's because you're a mystery writer. You accept it.
Now, if you see no hand waving back here, that was my girlfriend's daughter. She's just waving.
Oh, you're fine.
It
I
it
was trying
wasn't
not to
it
laugh
wasn't
too.
a
I have
weird
a little
spirit
one too.
child. Wasn't a weird spirit child, I promise. She's sick. She's got some stuff going on. So, but anyways, Storm, where can we find you and find your books?
So you can find me on Facebook. I have two of them. I have my author account, which is Storm Young Author, or you can just add me on my normal Facebook. I pretty much accept everybody, and that's Storm Young, and I do have a blue check mark there. You can find me on Instagram at underscore Storm Young underscore. I had to think about that. And then my website, which is www.stormyoung.com.
Sweet. And I'll put all of those links down in the description below. So if you want to go ahead and check them out, you can. And finally, before we go, Storm, what advice would you give to somebody that wants to step into the realm of writing mystery novels?
First of all, I say whatever you want to write, write. Don't write to market. That's the number one thing I heard whenever I started writing was write to market and you'll sell more books. I don't believe in that. Write the story that comes to you or that you want to write because it makes it, first of all, more enjoyable. And secondly, you can go and you can talk about, hey, this is why I wrote it. Not, hey, I wrote this because this is popular right now. Like, don't do that. And I see that happen a lot. And if you ever have any questions, reach out to me. I message people all the time answering any kind of questions about self-publishing. Traditional publishing, I don't know as much about, but I can help you whenever it comes to self-publishing.
Sweet, sweet. Yeah, I'm working on a book right now. I'm working on my own story. I'm kind of like stuck, so I'll be talking to you. It's not about
Okay.
mysteries because there's nothing mysterious about me. Okay. But anyway, Storm, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me for this length of time. Thank you for sharing your story and your passion for writing and about your books. I think that they're super intriguing, and I'm going to be checking them out.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And this was actually so much fun. I was a little bit nervous to start out because I was like, I don't know if we'll, you always wait to see if you'll like bond with somebody. I think we did great here and it was so much fun.
Yes, we did. And everybody, thank you guys for hanging out with us and just taking a look beyond the veil. I hope that you guys have a great day. Much love.